Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Live in Freestyle Game Dev live stream. It's Wednesday morning, and we're here on schedule 2 times a week, Sunday nights and Wednesday mornings. We work this like a Q&A AMA, and come and go as you please. Ask questions. We're trying to stumble our way through better understandings of game dev, Unreal, Maya, all that stuff. So, in the absence of questions, if nobody has any, then we're just kind of making our own game. Stumbling through that project because I'm fortunate enough to work at game dev professionally, and even though I get to do this every day, there's a whole lot of stuff I don't get to do, and we are definitely learning a ton. It's for sure. So I took a look through. I didn't see any questions in any of the previous streams, so we'll just hop right back into our own game. We were working on making a beam cannon, and the specific parts that we're working on with it for the beam cannon right now, we just got kind of all our temp effects to work and everything, and now I'm at the point where there's 2 things that I would like to try to do with this beam cannon to help push the learnings. One is I'd like to do a pushback with it. I'd like to kind of knock the characters back a little bit, try to figure all that out. And the second one, which I think is going to be a little more entertaining, is stunning the characters. There's a lot of things that I'd like to be able to do. I'd like to be able to stun, slow the characters, freeze them, all those kinds of things. And I don't see any abilities yet that do that. So that's part of the point, is to wrap our heads around the ability system. So with that, let's just start working on Unreal. We'll get everything set up, double check our chats. We're good to go. So the first part of this, I'm hoping will go pretty well. So as a reminder, let's do a quick play about where we are. So there's our beam cannons, and if we shoot, they're insanely loud, which is not ideal, and they also do damage, which is definitely what we wanted. The other thing that we were doing last time that I think is worth recapping is as we go, we are mapping out how the weapon system is set up. And so with that, I was doing a little bit more research on between sessions, and I did add in the weapon spawner of this part of this. So the weapon spawner has this data asset that has a static mesh and the ID weapon in it. Now, the ID weapon has a skeletal mesh. The other interesting thing about this is our actual blueprint weapon has a skeletal mesh. So at some point in here, I would like to figure out why we have 2 skeletal meshes, what the difference is when they're used, and so on. I did not bring any water with me this morning. So, but that's kind of the mapping, and we're keeping track of stuff like, you know, magazine size, ammo, spare ammo, etc. is happening in this ID weapon. So we'll keep mapping this as we go when we find things that are important to know. So let's move that back over. Make sure it's not blocking. It looks like I want to double check the stream here real quick. Not Yahoo, YouTube. For some reason it's showing up black, and I want to make sure we don't do one of those streams where we stream black the whole time. Alright, here we go. Live in freestyle. Nope. It does look like it's working. Okay, perfect. Whew. Okay. So we're mapping our weapons. Let's start working on the push. As we look at this, where might we put, and then this is part of the point of the map, where might we put the push? So there's a couple places on this. Obviously we're not going to put it in any of this area. All right, probably our best option based on this is going to be either in the gameplay notify or the weapon fire, depending on what's happening in there. So we're going to take a look at both of those. So let's take a look at our gameplay notify. Now our gameplay notify has the on burst stuff that's happening, and let's just double check to see if there's any other places that we might want to put this. That's gameplay notify weapon fire. The ability, you know, it's worth looking at the gameplay ability, but the gameplay ability doesn't have any actual, it's a data only blueprint. And I don't, yeah. So then there's the GA weapon fire, which is effectively another place. So in our gameplay ability weapon fire, we basically do the you know, activate the ability, then we have our play montage and wait. And what we're waiting for is fire complete. On ability added, this is final health. This is failure montage. And then this is our process target data. So this might be another place. On range weapon target data ready, we're getting all the actors that the weapon hit. Then we're going through and doing all the stuff. Gameplay queue notify. Then we have our impact, and then we create our physics field. You know what might be interesting? I may event on range weapon target data ready. Let's try something. Let's try for the gameplay ability weapon fire for the beam cannon. Let's actually open the full blueprint editor and see if we can override. Oh no, I don't want to graph. Nope. Functions. On target data. I'm wondering if we can override on target data ready. On ability, on range weapon target data ready. I believe this is the one that we want, right? Let's double check it. Event on range weapon target data ready. Oh, very cool. Okay, no. Weapon fire. Okay, cool. So let's add in our call to our parent function. So it's gonna do exactly what it's supposed to do by default. And then let's also see about adding in the logic that we want for the push. So if we look at the target data, we can get the actors from the target data and do a for loop on those again. And just to keep our blueprints clean here. All right, we're going to go through each one, and we're going to cast that. Standard macros go away. We're going to cast this to default character. This one. All right, and the reason we're doing that is going to get me the movement. So here's the character movement. And then we're going to, with the character movement, we're going to add an impulse. Okay. Okay. And the impulse is going to be from the target data. We also need the hit data, get the hit. get hit result from target data. And let's break that. And then with that, we need the normal. Let's grab the normal, and we're gonna multiply that by, use a float. So we're gonna convert this pin to a float. Single precision. Let's do 250. And this is the impulse. And it is a velocity change. Okay? So theoretically, oh, interesting. It'll be interesting to see if this does one push or multiple pushes. So let's see what happens with this. This may not be the right place. This is a cool exercise, but it may not be the right place. Nope, it's working. Okay, couple problems. Oh, that's cool. We don't have to do anything crazy like add extra variables or hunt or so on. First off, dude's moving quite a bit. So let's chill him out. All right. The other thing is our normal is the wrong way. So let's just flip it with this multiply for right now. Oh, we need our gun. Okay, so something else is happening here. Even though I'm mostly, oh, it's cool. Shows the weapon impact points. I didn't even realize that. And they fade. Ooh, fancy. Fancy, fancy ladder. Okay, so even though we're hitting the character with this beam cannon kind of on this vector from where we're standing, he's kind of jumping left and right with the push. And I feel like we want to be, even though that's great, we're getting the, you know, actually let's double check this. Let's change this to impact normal and see if that makes a difference. The other thing is I want to change where our spawn points are so that we have some room to push these dudes. Move them more into the middle. All right, here we go. Okay, so this should be our impact normal. Do we like that? Yeah, I guess that's all right. I feel like that's working. Let's try something here. Let's take the ability tree for the enemy. And let's reconnect. This. I believe our fight ability tree is where we shoot. Let's shoot every, because I think that's going to be crazy. So let's just shoot every 2 seconds for right now. Otherwise, I'm going to die because they're way too good. All right. So he's running now. 1,000, 1,000. Okay, cool. He's getting pushed back. All right, so it's kind of working. It's kind of working. It's not quite what I'm hoping for, and here's why. I think what we do is can I get a reference to myself with this gameplay ability? There's gotta be a way. Target. Yeah, let's see if that's who I think it is. Let's see if target in this case is actually us. So to test that, let's do this. Let's get the target. No. Let's get the target. And rather than using the normal from the impact point, which is potentially left and right, let's just use the normal from the actor. So let's get the actor, not the normal, the actor location. We're gonna make a vector. We're gonna make a vector that goes from us, get location, to them. So let's subtract these two. Okay. And then we're going to normalize this. First make our lines nice and fancy and pretty. Alright, so let's normalize this. Normalize. And then with our normal vector, we can multiply. Not multiply and divide. Let's change this back to a float single precision. By the way, if you're using previous versions of Unreal, there was not that conversion thing you had to do. That's an Unreal 5 thing. So if you're still using Unreal 4 or whatever, you may not see that. Let's see here. I think we settled on the 300. Okay. Fill this pen in. Okay, so we got that. So that's gonna get our vector. Do we even need this hit result anymore? I don't think we do. But let's just do our thing. There's a lot of errors. Oh, access none, trying to read property target. So target is bogus. Get owning actor. Get owning actor from actor info. Get actor location, let's try that. Okay, this dude movement is too hard to deal with, so let's go back to the dude just waiting. Because it doesn't look like that vector is quite what I'm expecting it to be. Yeah, it's not. What is going on? Why am I putting this in here? I don't think we want this in here at all. This is supposed to go in beam fire. Not... Wait a minute, hold on a second. Beam fire auto? Oh yeah, no, that is the right place. Okay, so either these positions aren't where I think they are, or my vectors are all messed up. Alright, let's draw some spheres. Draw some spheres. Make sure everything's where I think it is. We'll do 2. The reason we're going to do 2 is because I want 1 for them and 1 for us. And we'll make ourselves green. Duration of 1. Thickness 1. We'll make the enemies red. No, let's make them blue. Sure, why not? Go 50 for each of these. And let's try this again and see if our values are valid. Alright. Yeah, they're totally valid. Wait a minute. No, they're not. Look at where the green sphere is. The green sphere is not on me. Okay, so we are not. The owning actor for this weapon fire is not us. Target is bogus. How do we get a reference to? Let's try this. Avatar info from actor. Is that what we want? Is locally controlled. Maybe we just need a reference to self. Let's try that. Maybe we're already in. No. I don't think that's gonna work, but we'll try it. Ooh, see. Yeah, it doesn't have a reference. Oh, actually I have to hit somebody. Oh, this is the problem. There we go. Now he's moving away. Okay. Dude is moving away. Perfect. Okay. So we got all this. We can get rid of our debug spheres. Perfect. Okay. It's interesting that the hit result doesn't have the person doing the damage in it. Target data has actor. Target data origin. I'm just curious to get actors from target data. Interesting. Get context ID from owner. Oh well. I don't think we need this. Now, there is something else I was thinking about as I was looking at this hit result though. Because remember we were talking about ice grenades and stuff? I'm thinking that, you know, you can see in here the types of hits. There's blocking, information, location, physical materials. There's the hit component, hit item. There's no specific damage now, or I was just wondering, like, where are we gonna put in the idea of ice damage, fire damage? It's just something for future us to think about. For now, we can axe that. That works. We'll compile and save this now that it's cleaned up. Let's. This is a very flowy blueprint. I think it could be cleaned up a fair bit. So let's just clean this. Just for visual clarity. Make sure we're getting the right lines. Okay, one more here. We have this rule at work. Try to leave blueprints better than when you found them. And it's a good idea. Even if they're not yours. I'm gonna continue that trend. that's at least cleaner. From a flow standpoint, I still have not had a chance to download that Electric Nose plugin, which I'm excited to try at some point. Okay. We're good to go. So compile and save that. Nothing to do there. Our behavior tree is fine. Enemy fight, we can change that. Let's change this back to what we were, which was I believe 0.1, and show you why I feel like we need a stun on the end of this. Oh, we didn't reconnect the tree. So if we go back to our behavior tree, we reconnect our shooting. This dude's gonna kill me. And even though I'm blasting this gun, he's still able to get shots off. It doesn't feel right. I wonder if he's out of ammo. Oh, goodness. See, I'm still taking damage, even though I'm hitting him with this ray gun. So I would like to at least slow them, if not stun them for a second when they get hit by this thing. Maybe not in real life, because it might be too OP at that point. So, but for the exercise of figuring out how to do it, I think we do want to do that. So let's see if we can figure out the best way to do that. We're in our beam cannon auto. We're basically, wait, where are we? That's our burst damage. No, that's beam cannon fire. Beam cannon auto. Here we are. We're adding the impulse. Now, at the same time we add the impulse, let's stun the character. So what we need to do is we need to get the AI controller. Okay. And okay, this is actually interesting because we may want to put this actually in the character default blueprint, and we'll go back and look at that in a second. The reason being, here's the reason being. If we get the AI controller, right here, what we're going to have to do is, so we're now at the part where we're going to start stumbling. All of that was pretty straightforward so far. So for the stumbling part, as we try to figure out how to put this stun on the character, there's two things that need to happen. All right, so the AI controller is only half the story, because if the enemy picks up a beam cannon and uses it against us, then the player should also get stunned as well. So what's going to happen is I'm either going to have to get that or probably cast this to player. Get Lyra player controller. And so for each of these, I'm going to have to check to see if they're valid before I kind of move on. And so we could test this. I'm trying to think of the best way to test this. If we gave the enemy a cannon, but for now, let's just say we'll just do a thing just to kind of show what I'm talking about. So if they're valid, it's going to change what you do. If it's a player controller, we need to basically not unpossess them, but block inputs right? Input. Add input. Suspend input for player. That's interesting. I didn't even know they had that one. So we'd suspend input for player, and what's the reason? Beam cannon? Because beam cannon, that's why. Beak cannon, not beep cannon. Beam cannon. So if it's valid, we're gonna suspend that, and then what we'll do is there'll be like a delay maybe. Wow, it's gonna be a perma-stun, but whatever, we'll do that. And then we're going to input, resume input for player. Interestingly enough, I think this might be easier to test on the player than it's going to be to test on the enemy. So let's see if we can give our enemy a beam cannon to start. Also, right now, let's just drag this up here. I'm also concerned, depending if adding this delay means the delays are going to stack, right? But let's just take a look. I believe for enemies, they're probably using, oh, hey, this is going to be a good chance for us to do some mapping. Let's see here. Reference viewer. The hero shooter mannequin. Edit. Weapon ID pistol. Initial inventory. ID pistol. I'm not sure why they have that. And I'm wondering where the ability set is. I think we're gonna have to find that. But let's just see if we can change this to beam cannon. And do they start with the beam cannon instead? Yes, they do. And I can't move. I definitely can't move. Okay. Still can't move. Still can't move. I'm waiting to see if the delay is asynchronous. Oh, wow. Okay. So let's try it. Actually, nothing's working. Keyboard's not working, mouse clicks aren't working. Oh wow, something is super wrong. I can't even click this stop button. Keyboard's still in English, so that's not a problem. What in the world? Can't click anything. On this window. I mean, just disabling input, like full on disable input? Well, thankfully I saved. So let's go to this. We're just going to go to our code, kill it, restart. We can re-add the oh man, we can re-add the actual stuff as need be. Google website names. All right, we're just waiting for this to restart. It's interesting that I'm hoping that was just a fluke, and that we didn't actually have. By disabling the input, we're not actually turning off all input for the whole game. If so, we're gonna try this one more time, and if that is actually the case, then obviously that is not the way to do this, and we will have to go back. I'm trying to look at it's taking its sweet time launching right now. Where are we at? We still have time. We're doing okay. Did we hit a breakpoint? Because sometimes there's that 83% breakpoint that we hit. Nope. Here we go. Transition back, make sure we don't miss that. All right, let's get this set back up. We get this on this side, this on this side. Make sure that things work just the first time. Okay, they do, from that standpoint. Our behavior trees defaulted back because we didn't save those. So we can just bring those back. Okay. And then our ID pistol is being referenced. And this dude, so we can go over here and in our class defaults we can change these to be the weapon ID for the beam cannon and the beam cannon. Now let's just play and see. Okay, I'm getting hit, but I can still move. Okay, but hold on a second. Did we actually put the stun in? So let's take a look at our beam cannon. It's beam cannon. Why did it do that? I have no idea why I did that. Add impulse. Oh, because we don't have the stun in here anymore. I guess we didn't save that. Okay. So let's get the player controller. And let's suspend input for player as a beam cannon. I'm gonna recreate this. Beam cannon. And we just need to do an is valid here. Recreate this real quick. So if it's valid, we're going to suspend. And then we will add in a delay. A retriggerable delay. I think we'll try that one instead. Just for kicks. Input for player, resume input for player. I wonder if the reasons have to match. We don't want to recreate the exact same thing. We could go back and test it, but let's just... Yeah, I can't move. At all. Still can't move at all. I'm completely stun locked. The interesting thing is that delay is only supposed to last 0.2. And the exact same thing is happening. I can't stop, I can't do anything. Like, this is not the way to do the input. Let's see if I can move when we get back. There we go, I can move again. Stop. Holy goodness. That's not the way to do this, apparently. What does this do? In code, this just suspends the input for the player. Yeah. Let's just try disable input. Let's just try that. I don't know what this suspend. This suspend is not doing what I would expect it to do. So let's try that, and then let's enable the input again. I'm looking at the code. I don't see anything. It's basically in the code. The suspend is one line. Right, it returns the suspend input for player and the reason. Oh, this is the UI extensions. Go to definition. Common input subsystem gets the local player. The number of input suspensions ticks. Oh, interesting. Then there's a suspend reason. It sets the number of suspend tokens. And then it completely blocks everything. Mouse and keyboard, gamepad, touch. This is not what we would want. Resume input for player. It doesn't look like... I wonder what this input suspensions is doing. Alright, we'll have to look into that another time. Let's double check our chat. We're good to go for our chat. I'm gonna try this a little bit more. Old school style, I guess. Let's just see what happens. Okay, that is working in the sense that I can still move, but I think there is a little bit of a stun that's happening there. So let's increase it just to see. Aberdeen Galid. Thank you. You know, are you saying that because you dig the content, or are you saying that because you're one of the people who helps get people's content out there? Alright, so let's go again. And this time, let's see if the stun is long. I don't feel like that's 0.5 seconds. Let's delay again. Let's just put a normal delay back in here. Alright, and let's make this a full second. Okay. And then when we go... Yeah. I don't think we're being delayed here. 2 seconds. Yeah, I'm not getting delayed. This is not working. Okay. As I mentioned, this one was going to be fun. Input. Add pitch input, add yaw. These are mouse inputs. Unbind all events. That's XR tracking. That may not be what we actually thought it was. I don't know if this disable input is really what we think it is. Let's take a look at the player controller. And the reason I want to look at that is I want to see what's happening. Let's look at that. Is it a Lyra controller? AI controller. See if we have a player controller. Nope. That's the AI controller. Let's check Lyra character. Lyra character is a C++ class. Reference viewer. Okay, and what we want to see is character default. Let's edit this. And let's take a look at our event graph. Begin play has nothing. Okay. So let's recenter this. Hero default. Let's edit that. And event graph. What do they do for ragdoll? Interesting, they don't disable input during ragdoll? That's interesting. On death started, play the unregistered from sense, delay, ragdoll, death. What happens in death? Nothing. That doesn't seem right. Okay. So even animation effect, that's not it. On death started. Instructions got nothing. It's gonna do whatever the character default is doing. Wow. Okay, let's see what we got for our hero. We got our enhance inputs. We have death finished. We're clearing our inventory. Resets the same thing. Begin play. We listen for our team. Is upon ready to initialize. Lyra pawn extension. Event possessed. Okay, if we have authority, we're gonna wait for the experience, then we're gonna do inventory. Then we're going to cast that to a Lyra player controller. Okay. Then we're adding the widgets, health bar, we're setting the control pawn. That is it. Cast a Lyra player controller. What can we do with that Lyra player controller? Oh, it's the same thing. Let me just do something. Cast Lyra. Interesting. Oh, wait a second. We're getting the actors. Get controller. Cast to Lyra. Player controller. And from the player controller, input? Is this the same stuff that we had from the other one? Yep, it looks the same. Get common input subsystem. Stop. Disable. So this is effectively the same thing. That is not going to help us. Oh, well thanks Alberman. I'm sorry, I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong. We could just go with the last name. I think I can get that right, Khalid. or the last part of your handle. Yeah, I'm not really good at the whole self-promotion thing, but you know, hopefully if people dig it, they'll find it. But we do this twice a week, Sunday nights and Wednesday mornings. So, and we basically just stumble it through together. We've had people pop in, they'll ask questions. We'll try to sort it out together. We solve them. Sometimes we don't solve them, and I ask some of my coworkers how they would do it, and then they help us out too. So it's kind of a fun little network that we're building here, and hopefully over time we'll get to a point where we're all gurus. It'll be fun. I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but you know, my area of expertise is kind of front end character work and everything like that. And so all of this AI, weapons, ability systems, and all this stuff, we're doing all this so I can learn a lot more about it, which is cool. And as you can see, we are learning a lot more about it. Okay, so all we want to do... Okay, I'm changing my mind. Here's what I'm changing my mind on. I was thinking it was going to be easier to test disabled input on the hero. Now I'm thinking not. So let's flip this so we can actually make some forward progress. So what we're going to do is we are going to, rather than doing this, we're going to cast this to the AI controller. Okay, and as the AI controller input, let's see what we have for inputs. Removes this actor from the stack of input being handled by a player controller. I wonder if this needs to go in. And then this? No. Let's try both. We'll just feed them both in. Let's just see if... We don't even need to do all of the stuff right now. Let's just see if one of them works. Nope. It didn't stop. Holy loud beam cannons that we made. Okay, so that did not... did not stop our characters. So let's check out... Somewhere there has to be the starting of the ability tree. So let's do this. Reference viewer. We're going to take a look at this controller. And the reason being is when we begin play, we're waiting for the experience, then we're running the behavior tree from the behavior tree asset. So let's just see if we can stop the behavior tree instead of trying this disable input shenanigans nonsense. So let's get the behavior tree. PT. Get the BT asset. Alright. Now can we stop it? Okay, stop may not be the right word. Run behavior tree. So with this behavior tree, interesting. I don't even have to do that. I don't want to run a behavior tree. I want to stop a behavior tree. How do we stop a behavior tree? Alright, internet. Don't fail us now. 2E5 stop behavior tree. Okay, so supposedly we're supposed to be able to stop logic on the AI controller brain component, which just sounds super awesome. Oh, it sounds awesome. Okay, so let's, for some reason, I have not seen a way. Oh, dude, you can get the brain component. Look at that. Who knew? We can get the brain. Stop logic. Oh, this is totally gonna work. Cause beam cannon, that's why. Beam cannon. Okay, now let's do this. Let's put in our delay. I'm excited because I know this is gonna work this time. This always seems to happen right around the time we're supposed to finish the stream. Well, not always. There's been a bunch of times that this did not happen. Let's, logic. Restart logic. Okay. Let's make sure this works and then we'll clean this up. Alright, let's just clean it up now. Oh, you don't even have to give it a reason for the restart. That's interesting. Okay, so if this works, theoretically this should stop the behavior tree for 0.2 seconds. So let's roll. I gotta hit him though. Come here, buddy. Where'd you go? Here's my question. Are we ever hitting this? So let's try this again. We never hit the, oh, wow. Okay, so we are never hitting the enable again. This delay is not working. This delay, there's got to be something going on with this delay being asynchronous or something where we never come back to this. Like, let's just confirm we're hitting these breakpoints. Okay, so we hit the breakpoint. Okay, then there's a delay. And then we're, look at that. We're ending the ability. Okay. So now I know what's happening. So let's, oh wow. This is a little bit of a mind hurt. All right, so here's what's happening. Our weapon fire is getting activated. All right, and as part of the activation, what happens is we do our range component target data ready and everything like that. And then what happens is we do all of our stuff. We're overriding that with ours, which is still calling the parent, which is cool. So all that's normal. Then all of our logic runs. But the problem is this ability, after we stop the logic, the ability is ending. And so we never restart our AI logic. So what we need to do, and the problem with it too is we can't just restart the AI logic, because what's going to happen is if we do, there will be no suspension of AI logic, meaning we trigger the stop, the ability ends, and let's just say we restart our logic in the end of the ability, it'll be almost instantaneous. We'll never even see this delay. All right, so what we want to do is let's move all of this, okay? We're going to move all of this to our character, I believe. And it seems reasonable because we have other events here for our character. We have event possessed, we have listening for teams, on shields, on health change. Let's create one for stunning. Do we want to call it stun? Or we call it time to disable input. So let's add it. Let's do that. Let's add an event, a custom event. Okay, we're gonna call this time or disable input time. Okay, and that is going to take as an input a duration, and I'm not convinced the delay is the way we want to go right now, but we're just going to use this since we're doing this in prototype. Okay, so let's get the controller first, and this is going to work for both of us, which is cool. This is what I was talking about earlier. The problem is we have a player controller and we also have a AI controller, and we need to do something different depending on which one it is. So this will make it a lot more generic, and it should just work for both. So if we cast this to an AI controller, and then from that we get the brain. Okay. Then with the brain, we're going to stop logic. And we're going to let's just say shenanigans. I'm just gonna say beam cannon right now. We may want to actually specify this. I need to do some research as to what the reason is used for, right? Does it stack based on the same reason or not? And then we're going to have our stop logic, then we'll put in a delay. And the delay duration is going to come from here. And then when that's completed, we are going to restart our logic. Okay. So this is only going to work for now for AI controllers. What we would need to do is, if this cast failed, we would do another one to, let's just say, cast to Lyra player controller. Cast to Lyra player controller as an example. And we could even do this as a sequence. So if we did 1 and then 2, this way we kind of cover our bases. We're not going to do this work right now because I have to wrap this up, but we could have this sequence here, and it's going to do both of the things, and it's eventually will fill in this loop so that enemies can stun players as well. But for now, we're going to do our sequence, we're going to stop our logic, etc., etc. And then back in our beam cannon, we are going to here we go, character default. Let's cast this to a B here. Actually, we may want to move this up actually. But for now, just by moving up, what I mean is we may want to take, rather than see how we're casting the character default here, we may want to move this logic for disabling input into the character default. We'll think about that, but for now, let's just see if this works. Okay, and then we're going to what did we call that? This is called disable input timed. compile and save that. And then from here, let's just disable input timed. And let's put in a delay of 0.2 right now. Okay. So same idea, same spot. The difference is we're kicking off an event. Either references asset or where's AI control? Wait, where does it do that? Oh, interesting. I think it'll still work, but we'll have to fix that in a second. Okay, it is re-enabling. We know that for sure. Let's increase our delay here. It's possible that that error is keeping us from not working. So let's just see. 2 seconds. One thousand two. Ah, dude, it worked. when we shoot him, he disables for 2 seconds. So that is what. Okay, so 2 seconds is probably a long time, but we'll probably go with 1 for now. Now, here's the interesting thing. There was that error that popped up that said we can't reference the HWZ AI controller. And what's happening was actually I don't see us referencing this in here. I guess maybe once I compiled it, that went away. Let me just double check here. Because I'm not actually referencing an HWZ controller. I took that out when I got the brain component stuff. Okay, so I think we're good. I think the reason, just in case I missed it, just for whatever that potentially happened, was because we're using the game feature plugins. Because we're using the game feature plugins, Unreal is trying to tell me that I can't reference that particular game feature plugin inside the other one without referencing it in the game feature plugin setup, which is a little bit wild. So, but it shouldn't matter because we're using generic AI controller stuff. So overall, that actually wasn't our worst morning. We were able to get the pushback in, and we were able to get the stun in. Now, this does put a couple questions in my mind, okay? There are things like, remember one of our goals of doing this was, you know, better wrapping our heads around the ability system, yes, but also, you know, in our quest or whatever, we're trying to get to ice grenades, because, you know, ice grenades are cool. But whether it be ice grenades or ice cannons, we do want to eventually be able to freeze our players. And there's two things, players and AI. There's two things about that I want to fulfill the fantasy. I don't want them to just stop in their default idle pose. I want them to freeze where they were in motion. So it's great that we've disabled input. The question is, if they're in mid-air or they're in a pose, are they going to get frozen in that pose one day when we get to that? I think overall for the beam cannon, it's cool. We've got, you know, we've got our pushback, we've got our stun that's working kind of the way we expect it. It's probably going to be too OP, but it doesn't matter. We learn a ton from doing it. So I think next time, what I want to do is potentially take a look at, first, I noticed the irregular grenade doesn't seem to do any pushback, and I feel like it should. So let's see if we can just get kind of some pushback with a regular grenade. And then I wanted to kind of take a look at the idea of not just stunning a character, but being able to slow them. So let's just say they run through an AoE slow, right? how do we add that? Is that a gameplay effect that we're going to add to the character that slows down their movement speed? What does that look like? So we can kind of dig into that tomorrow. What is my ultimate goal for this project? So Serial 17 is asking what my ultimate goal for this project is. The ultimate goal, Serial, is for you to be able to play this game. Now, it's actually a little bit bigger than that, but yes, the ultimate goal will be that you will be able to play this game. Also, I'm not insane. Well, I might be insane. There's the Mission Impossible part of me wants to build this whole thing myself at a quality level that excites people so they want to play it. But that's where I kind of mentioned, like, I'm not insane. Like, making a game it's an insane amount of work. It's so yes. But so I think the plan is to get the prototype up and running so that people can get excited about it, because I have some other thoughts about how to make this. And once I have people hopefully excited about just the prototype, then I think that's when we call in the individual experts within their fields and see who is looking, who potentially wants to help make this thing happen. Is that the kind of goal that you were asking about, Serial? Good morning, by the way. Welcome back. I think we're starting to get to the point, by the way, Serial, where what we're going to do is, this is prototype, right? But part of why things are slow right now, you don't see me building levels, you don't see me adding abilities or anything like that, is because I need to have a solid foundation to start from. And I don't even know how the weapons work yet, right? Like in Lyra, because we switched over, I was feeling pretty good about getting there in our previous project, but when we switched over to the Lyra base, there's just a lot of unknowns. And so if I were to sit down and say, let's just say we sat down and we say, okay, we're gonna create a new enemy character. The enemy character is a snow beast, and it has 3 attacks. And one attack is icicles that pop out of the floor. The other attack is a snowball that freezes you. I don't know how to make you freeze right now. So what I want to be, I need to at least understand Lyra enough to the point where for me to sit down and create a snowball, I can do that quickly. So that when we get to the point where, because what's going to happen is we're going to create all these cool enemies and they're not going to be fun to play against. And so we're going to need to be able to iterate on their abilities and how those abilities work quickly. I can't do that if I don't know how they work. So we're going to finish a few of these exercises within the ability system specifically. And then a couple things maybe with AI, just to make the enemies feel just smarter. And then I think you'll start seeing us build out small test encounters and things like that. And yes, this is going to be multiplayer, and my goal is to get it so that the prototype is testable by you all even before we're playing, so that maybe one of these mornings we sit down and we all just play and we go through a feedback session of why it wasn't fun or not. But that's also going to require a server set. Like, there's so much to learn, right? I'm going to have to get clients done. Like, I'm going to have to build a client. I'm going to have to build patching. I'm going to have to find ways to make this happen, or figure out some kind of deployment mechanism so that we can all sit down and play this game together remotely. And then that doesn't even factor in all network latency and all this kind of crazy stuff. So yeah, it's insane. There's a lot of work to do. I'm thinking teams of 3, but I'm not positive yet. Well, let me rephrase that. you will be able to solo it. When the end goal that I have, you would be able to potentially try to solo it, but it won't be easy to do it that way. So, but I think max team size is going to be 3 to 5. And there's going to be, hopefully I'm working on some social stuff that's going to make it fun to play socially as well. And even, maybe even watchable. I don't know. Like I said, I'm insane. There's a lot to do. So Khalid, Serial was asking if this was going to be multiplayer. Well, I mean, you're definitely, Serial saying they're excited to try. You're definitely here, like ground zero, day one type stuff. So I hope to be able to ping you at some point in the future and say, hey, we're ready. Let's give this thing a try. That'll be fun. All right, y'all. I think that was we did all right this morning. We actually accomplished a couple things. As I mentioned, next time I think we're going to try to get into additional stuns, pushbacks, and slows. I also want to do some looking into. For some reason, I remember somebody saying to me that those delays aren't necessarily great ideas. And then obviously, we're also going to need to be able to make it so that the player controller can also get stunned. Right now, in our logic, we're only able to stun enemies. But we'll hop back into that on Sunday night. Everybody who hopped in, Serial, Khalid, all of you who didn't necessarily chime in on the chat but are here, thank you. And I appreciate the compliment, Khalid, as far as digging the stuff and having to get it out there. Not great at the whole getting it out there, but maybe people will find us over time. It's cool. We're not in a rush. It's gonna take us a long time to make this game. We're gonna be here for a while. We do 10:15 Pacific Standard Time on Sunday. The idea there is to try to cover different time zones, right? So I used to run another technical Q&A a while ago, and we did different times so that we could cover different regions of the world. So I'm open to suggestions on that as we learn what the people, what you all want to see. But yes, 10:15 Pacific Standard Time on Sunday. Awesome. All right, everybody, have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will catch you all later.